And now, I would now like to invite our WHO Regional Director of Europe, Dr. Hans Kluge, to take the floor, to speak to us on the theme of reimagining WHO Europe for the future and going back to the basics, the theme of this year's RC. Dr. Kluge, dear Hans, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Minister Martin Dupré from Luxembourg, dear Chair and Vice Chair of the Standing Committee, Dr. Thomas Denser, Ms. Asta Valdimarsdottir, Ministers, colleagues and friends. What a pleasure to welcome you to the first Region Committee of the second mandate that you entrusted me last year. Thank you so much for your trust. I very much look forward working with you to improve health and leave no one behind in all 53 member states. And a special thanks to you, Minister Sophie Leude from Denmark, for personally welcoming us in the beautiful city of Copenhagen. Mange tak. Dear Ministers, colleagues, once again, we gather in times of crisis. The devastating war in Ukraine continues. Budgets are tight, health workers are few. We rejoice in the hope of peace in the Middle East, but the crisis has devastated the hostages and their families in Israel, but also health workers, civilians, and the most vulnerable in Gaza. WHO itself has faced the devastating consequences of the US withdrawal. But crisis also teaches us. The COVID-19 taught us to act fast in emergencies, while at the same time to keep the core public health programs alive. We called it the dual-track approach. And the crisis also taught us the need for a new business model for WHO Europe. More agile, efficient, impactful. My motto became different with less. That's why today I speak to you about reimagining the WHO Europe of the future. And actually, this is guided by all of you through the very inclusive consultation process developing the European Programme of Work 2026-2030, EPW2. The single aim of my speech today is to reassure you, member states, my governors, that we are implementing a solid plan for WHO Euro of the future, which is stronger, healthier, trusted, delivering the highest standard of evidence-based, politically neutral services, with 20% less of the resources, leaving no one behind. And to pull this off, we're implementing 3 interconnected streams of work in line with the UN 80 initiative championed by the UN Secretary General to make the UN fit for purpose at the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. Number 1, back to the core mandate. Number 2, efficiency and accountability. Number 3, restructuring and alignment. Let's start with the core mandate. The WHO Constitution defines our purpose, the attainment by all peoples of the highest possible level of health. Health being a state of complete well-being and a fundamental human right. And in order to keep that fundamental human right, as Dr. Tedros often reminds us, the most critical medicine we need nowadays is peace. Without peace, there is no health. And today, we will hear that call for peace directly from Roman and Sasha, 2 young children from Ukraine. Roman was grievously burned during the war over his whole body, including his intestine, miraculously survived thanks to medical evacuation facilitated by WHO Europe, and Sasha, a young girl who lost her leg when a missile hit her home. Let's listen to Roman and Sasha.
Про що ти мрієш прямо зараз? Я хочу, щоб ніхто не хворів.
Щоб не було війни.
Я мрію стати олімпійською чемпіонкою.
Я хочу бути конструктором, і я хочу сконструювати свою машину.
А якби ти міг щось змінити в цьому світі, то що би ти змінив?
Я би зробив так, щоб був мир в Україні.
Thank you very much, Roman and Sasha. Дякую. Dear Deputy Minister Gonchar, please rest assured that we keep our word of last year that this regional office will continue to work relentlessly for the health of the Ukrainian people. Dear colleagues, through the EPW2 consultation process, you identified 5 key roles, 5 core functions for this WHO regional office for Europe in line with our core mandate. Let's highlight them one by one. Number 1, you ask us to be the regional knowledge hub for health. And here I would like to point out the primary healthcare, all the knowledge. Actually, recently, at the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the government of Kazakhstan, together with our Center of Excellence in Almaty, pulled off a major event on primary healthcare with more than 400 global health leaders, reminding that primary healthcare is the basis of universal health coverage and the sustainable development goals. And I would like to thank the Minister of Health of Kazakhstan, Dr. Akmaral Sharbalevne Alnazarova, for the great leadership of her president, Kasim Jomart Tokayev, to the global coalition on primary healthcare, which Dr. Tedros and me very strongly support. And here definitely I would like to commend the Minister of Health of Georgia, Dr. Mikhail Sargeladze, implementing historical primary healthcare reforms, moving from action and strategy to real results. Congratulations. Another example is the launch of the health system performance profiles of 15 non-European Union countries, which we did together with the European Observatory in Belgrade in Serbia, with the leadership of my good friend, Minister Zlatibor Lončar. Hvala vam pula, dear friend. And the other example is the launch of the NCD quick buys, 25 proven cost-effective interventions which deliver impact within one political cycle, between 1 and 5 years. And here we have many champions. First, I need to commend Minister Martin Depré for a major event at the Permanent Mission of Luxembourg in New York the day before the UN high-level meeting, where we relaunched the NCD quick buys. Thank you very much. And I'm present also for the amazing hospitality. Dr. Carmen Joller from Estonia, I would like to congratulate you with your brave leadership to push down the alcohol consumption despite of the heavy industry interference. Quite a tour de force. Minister of Health, Helena Mas from Andorra, thank you for joining us. I remember how you have been always a champion for screening of breast cancer, a very important NCD quick buy, and I understand now combining with biannual colorectal cancer early detection. Congratulations. The Minister of Health, Dr. Erkin Maratovich Chechimbayev, is actually right now on his way to join us from the airport. So please tell him what I'm going to tell. He is amazing to develop the national NCD plan in no time. We just had a very senior mission through a whole of government approach, linking primary healthcare with public health and also involving the subnational level. I remember Dr. Ergin Maratovich was telling in New York how sporty his president is. I know, we are playing football in Bishkek, and that the president, Sadi Japarov, is organizing each year a football tournament between the ministries, and Erkin Maratovich was very proud to say that each year the Minister of Health is winning the tournament. Second key role, to be the impartial coordinator for health. My dear friends, you remember that I made another promise to you last year that this office would not rest before we reach the milestone of 1,000 heavily wounded, heavily sick children from Gaza to be evacuated to European countries. 3 days ago, we reached that milestone. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all those 17 countries which stepped forward. My brother, Dr. Aziz from Turkey, no country has been doing so much for that. Teşekkür ederim. But, my friends, WHO estimates that as of today, 3,000 children urgently need specialized treatment outside of Gaza. Remember, the Quran, the Bible, the Talmud, they all say the same. If you save one child, you have saved humanity. I appeal to all countries. Why 17? We have 53 countries. For every country at least to evacuate one child. 53 times we can save humanity. At the same time, I always have been non-stop advocating for the unconditional immediate release of the Israeli hostages and to morally support their families. And rest assured, Director General, dear Dr. Moshe Bar Simon Tov, that we will continue to stand with the families in this very complex healing process through the mental health program I established with the First Lady, Madame Michal Herzog. Impartial also means to be independent from commercial interests. While this House is not shy to build principled, transparent partnerships with the industry when and where it makes sense, like, for example, with the European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations on the Novel Medicines platform to work towards sustainable, equitable access of innovative medicines. Third key role, to work on cross-border health threats. In Montenegro, with support of our country office and the FCTC, the finance ministers of the Western Balkan acted to curb illicit tobacco trade. And the Minister of Health, congratulations for great leadership, which will continue to need, dear Minister Vyacheslav Simon. HIV/AIDS and multi-drug resistant tuberculosis also remain serious regional cross-border health threats. And I want to acknowledge the efforts by Dr. Olegovich Salagai for having convened the high-level working group on HIV/AIDS in my presence to discuss the results of the joint review of the National AIDS Program to accelerate prevention and control, including to decrease stigma and discrimination among people living in so-called non-traditional partnerships. Next one, the fourth key role, health system transformation. In Moldova, we worked very closely together on the analysis of the health labor market through a gender lens, thereby strengthening nursing in primary healthcare under the great leadership of, now I have to say probably, former or outgoing Minister of Health, Dr. Anna Nemirenko. I know that Dr. Nemirenko was on her way to join us, but there's a change in leadership. Please convey my great admiration. What this minister has been pulling off in the last year is phenomenal, and we're very much looking forward to continue our collaboration with the new minister. Similarly, I would like to commend the Minister of Health of Bulgaria, my good friend Professor Sylvie Kirillov-Petrov, for your brave leadership to address the shortages in health professionals and to be such a strong advocate for the national nursing strategy up to 2030. Pozdravляем, Professor. If we speak about health system transformation, we continue to work through the sub-regional modus operandi. Remember, we started this 5 years ago, and it works quite well because we have such a diverse region. For example, in beautiful Bled, Slovenia, the Minister of Health, Valentina Rupel, convened the 12 small countries ministerial meeting, demonstrating that size is no barrier to impact. And thank you so much to the Minister for the great hospitality and for the great weather. I remember the first day I was running around this beautiful Bled Lake in beautiful sun, and the second day hiding for incredible thunderstorm and rain. So we got the whole palette. This month, I was myself in Tajikistan for a other very important sub-regional meeting, where my brother, the Minister Dr. Yamoluddin Abdullah Zoda, convened the 38th CIS Healthcare Council meeting around primary healthcare as a driver for health system transformation of the sub-region. Please, Professor Youssoufi, convey my great appreciation to my brother, Dr. Yamruddin Abdulozada. As we say in Tajik, Tashakuri Siyot. Tajikistan, Vapesh. Fifth key role, to be the voice for health equity. We cannot talk about equity without talking about mental health. Even yesterday we discussed with Minister Dr. Anahit Avanesian the major mental health transformation ongoing in your country. Congratulations, linking with communities, respect, rights and dignity for all. Actually, the Queen of Belgium, Queen Mathilde, was recently in Armenia and went to the mental health site and was very, very impressed. Congratulations. Equity, definitely, I would like to comment here the Minister of Health, Christophe Robino from Monaco, on the launch of the Handi Pact, quite a transformative national policy, working towards a society fully inclusive for people with disabilities, with the motto, nothing about us without us. Congratulations, Minister. And no doubt, equity remains very high, a brand of Magic Iceland. Congratulations, Minister Alma Muller. 95% hepatitis C cure rate among people injecting drugs and thereby eliminating hepatitis C in 3 years. This is really a tour de force. I would also like to showcase our UHC Watch. It's a very powerful health equity tool thanks to the support of the European Commission Universal Health Coverage. It's a evidence-based online monitoring in 46 member states which groups in your population are being pushed into poverty due to ill health, with a set of very pragmatic policy recommendations for each of the 46 countries, which actually many of you have acted. And here, definitely, I would like to highlight Minister Michaelis Damianos for a spectacular decrease in out-of-pocket payment once you introduce the new universal health system. Congratulations, Minister, and we are very much looking forward working together on successful EU presidency next year. Dear colleagues, these are the 5 key roles, the 5 core functions that you ask from us in line with our core mandate. And actually, they coincide very well with the mega trends that we put forth in the EPW2. Security, demography, digital governance, artificial intelligence, addressing distrust and climate change. On the latter, I'm very proud that we have among us Excellency Katrine Jakobsdottir, previous Prime Minister of Iceland, the chair of the Pan-European Commission on Climate Change and Health. I immediately established once that you elected me, and thank you, Katrine, for giving an update today at lunchtime to the heads of delegations. Actually, I myself, I was at the launch and the first hearing of the Commission in beautiful Reykjavik. I remember, Minister, you also had ordered a very exceptional sunny day at that time. And actually, I was thinking last week how symbolic it was. It was in Reykjavik. Some of you may have read in the global news that for first time in history, mosquitoes appeared in Iceland due to the very, very hot summer. Imagine. One of the stars that we had at the launch of the Commission was Miss Leila Aliyeva, Vice President of the Haydar Aliyev Foundation, who gave a brilliant report on the COP29. And I really have to thank you, my dear friend Minister, Dr. Timur Musai from Azerbaijan, because I remember it was your personal recommendation to me when we met in Baku. Great recommendation. Please tell Her Excellency that Dr. Rob is on his way in December to work out concrete action plan under your guidance. Thank you so much. And finally, if we talk about environment and climate, I want to highlight the efforts of the Minister of Health of Hungary, Peter Takacs, for the country's leadership as the chair of the Bureau of the parties of the Protocol on Water and Health. And I'm very much looking forward to joining in beautiful Budapest for November for the 7th meeting of the parties. Köszönöm szépen. Dear colleagues, this is how we are reimagining WHO Euro of the future by going back to the core mandate, to become stronger, healthier and trusted. evidence-based, trusted, politically neutral, with 20% fewer of the resources, leaving no one behind. But together, we're implementing a second stream of work in line with the UN 80, efficiency and accountability. It means more value for money without compromising quality nor impact at the country level. And we're doing this through 3 tracks. The first one is cost containment. I call it to stop the immediate bleeding. We know from experience that this approach works, because when I became the regional director 5 years ago, we faced a significant salary gap of $15 million, and we closed that gap by a combination of decisive measures, including relocating certain enabling functions to Istanbul. At the start of this year, since the withdrawal of the US, we faced a salary gap of $28.1 million. I would like to reassure you, my governors, that we are very well on track to close the gap by end of the year and start with a clean slate the 1st of January 2026 through a similar set of efficiency measures which you see on the screen, the global reserve, and attracting new funding. Immediately in January, we started to negotiate with our main donors to reprogram certain existing grants, which actually you heard from Commissioner Varhelyi, for the order of $3.5 million. And dear Paco, I would like to comment here and thank really my very good friend, Director General of DG Santé, Sandra Galina, for her amazing flexibility and leadership. Sandra immediately invited me to discuss for a breakfast, and actually, Paco, one of the most healthy breakfasts I had in my life. So please thank very much, grazie mille to Sandra. The second track under efficiency and accountability is targeted resource mobilization. The 21st of January, 12 hours after President Trump signed the executive order to withdraw from the WHO, I had the 10 main European donor countries plus the European Commission in the room here to brainstorm under the leadership of Germany on the foreseeable financial consequences and how to address them. Vielen Dank, Frau Ministerin Nina Warken, voor die starke ondersteuning.
Thank you.
Voor de WHO.
Thank you for the support of Germany for WHO and for our work.
Minister Warken here at a very successful World Health Summit, giving an amazing speech on the importance of the role of a strong WHO in the multilateral system. Dear Deputy Minister Dr. Kippels, please give my and Dr. Tedros' greatest regards and appreciation to the Minister. I'm very much looking forward to our bilateral. Since then, the donor group met 3 times. The last time in presence of the world-famous Dr. Bruce Elbert to convene together the first ever member state briefing on the UN 80 and the global health architecture. Thank you so much, Bruce, and please come again. But here, I would like to thank all of you, also on behalf of the Director General, for your support in the increase of assessed contributions. Many times we tell you Dr. Tedros' situation would have been much worse without the increase in assessed contributions. But in particularly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank those European member states who systematically earmark a chunk of their global contributions to WHO Europe. Germany and Denmark are the champions here, and thank you again, Minister Löde, to your government for the very strong support to non-communicable diseases, which really remains very, very vital for us. My friends, I told it before, and I will tell it many times again. This is the time that Europe has to take care of Europe. Third track under efficient accountability, innovation and artificial intelligence. During my short summer break, I had 13 bilateral video conferences with those ministers of health in the European Union countries where we have a country office to ask them, right? I always listen to the member states. What's the value of the country office in those countries? All ministers guided me that we shall minimize the international footprint maximize national capacity, and together we agreed to host the WHO country offices within the Ministry of Health or national institutions. This is what I call different with less. On the artificial intelligence, remember Dr. Björn Eriksen, thanks to your initiative at one of the SCRCs, we gathered for 2 days in-house here, free of charge for us, the leading Nordic AI experts for 2 days of hackathon, to AI our internal processes and to come up with a costed roadmap. I participated myself throughout the 2 days because artificial intelligence is not about technology. It's all about leadership. We launched PERA. PERA is our in-house AI platform, which WHO is now replicating globally. And we're piloting artificial intelligence for learning, analytics, training, and real-time insights. Faster, cheaper, different. This is what I call different with less. And I want to thank the Minister of Health of Malta, Dr. Jo-Etienne Abela. I know that Dr. Abela was on his way here, but was called back last moment, but please thank him for hosting a very important meeting, 18-19 November in Malta, the first WHO European meeting on artificial intelligence and health. Thank you so much, because I firmly believe that we as public health leaders at this turning point in history will be judged only against one metric. How did we leverage the unprecedented availability of technological and artificial intelligence innovation to improve health for all everywhere? Different with less. We also believe in the power of innovative collaboration with WHO collaborating centers and national institutes. Only a few days ago, I sealed a second deal. I'm also trying to get better in sealing deals. We sealed a deal with a friendly director of a National Public Health Institute to dedicate part-time of a senior expert to some of our flagship initiatives. I mean, just imagine that 10 more National Public Health Institutes would do this. This is different with less, the new business model. Throughout these hectic times, I tried hard to increase accountability and transparency. First and foremost, through briefings with you, the member states, the donor group, and of course, first and foremost, the Standing Committee of the Region Committee. I would like to thank the chair and the vice chair, but also you, Björn, and Rachel from Ireland as the chairs of the subgroups, and all SCRC members for a phenomenal support. Always nudging me and my great directors to go one step further, to be brave and to think out of the box. Without your support of the SCRC, I wouldn't have managed. So thank you very much. Similarly, since the beginning of the year, we kept open channels with the European Staff Association, in addition to regular town hall meetings, regular all-staff email messages, and the anonymous Ask Hans email box. But I do acknowledge that in times of uncertainty, communication is never enough. And that's why I really want to thank the president of the Staff Association, Anita Steffin, for the very tough but very respectful dialogues we keep. Thank you so much, Anita. This is, colleagues, how we are building the WHO Europe of the future, to be stronger, healthier and trusted, evidence-based, politically neutral, with 20% less of the resources, leaving no one behind. And together, we're implementing a third very important interconnected workstream in line with the UN 80 initiative championed by the UN Secretary General. Restructuring and alignment. This is not about blunt cutting. It is about a new business model, which I can summarize in 4 points. Number 1, Copenhagen remains the normative powerhouse. No doubt about that one. Istanbul leads on enabling functions. Almaty Primary Healthcare Center incorporates TB HIV and some functions of integrated NCD management. And for the country office shift from being reactive to anticipatory, from being running around to implement to being advisors to the Ministry of Health. We reduce the staff with 20% while proudly protecting young talent. But my friends, this is a very, very painful process. Each morning, if I arrive with my bike and enter the building, I do feel the pain. Because these reductions are not just numbers. They represent valued colleagues and their families that for now we have to say goodbye. And I stand in awe for their remarkable resilience and determination during these exceptionally difficult times. And you could do me no greater pleasure than give them a resounding applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot. These staff cuts represent $50 million, and the relocations will save another $8.1 million. With this, the staffing in the WHO Regional Office for Europe comes back to the pre-COVID levels, with one exception. Remember, I always keep my promise. The country office, a very strong country office in Ukraine. Deputy Minister Gonchar, the country office in Ukraine is the only office of the 33 where I did not cut the budget. We are pulling this off again through 3 tracks: restructuring within WHO, within the UN, and alignment with the partners. Let's start with within WHO. We're going from 5 technical divisions to only 3 technical divisions in line with the core mandate. First division, prevention and health promotion, led by Gundo Weiler. Actually, we were commended for this, right, Gundo, already yesterday by our beloved non-state actor to say, finally, WHO is going back to its bread and butter. Second division, health systems, led by Natasha Azapardi-Muscat, which incorporates, I also want to kill some fake news here, which incorporates the sexual reproductive health and right, which remain a critical area. To be very bluntly speaking, in all modesty, I don't think there has been any elected official in WHO who has been such a champion on sexual reproductive health and rights and an advocate for LGBTQI+ community than Hans Kluge. Third division, health security, ably led by Igor Perehinets, which keeps a strong AMR program. Primary healthcare, I decided, this is novelty too, I decided to make it a cross-cutting priority because I know, in the beginning of my career, I was a practicing family doctor in a fisher village in Belgium. It's the heartbeat of any health system. As the family doctor, I was the trusted person together with the mayor, because that's in my practice where mental health and trust was either gained or lost. We calculated with Melita Jakob, who is in charge of the Center of Excellence in Almaty, that in our region, mind you, there are 7 billion consultations by all primary healthcare workers together each year. 7 billion opportunities to create health and strengthen security. Can you imagine? Then we have 2 enabling divisions, but before that, I would like to commend you, Minister Dr. Alan Saranj, Minister of Health of Czech Republic, for walking the talk on primary healthcare, creating these prevention and promotion centers within primary healthcare facilities, and you link them with the civil society, walking the talk on social participation. Congratulations. First enabling division, program management, led by Corinne Capuano. I always say I couldn't dream of a better deputy, although Corinne doesn't want I tell this. I also tell this because I gave Corinne maybe the most important duty for the next years. It's with me to raise the scientific excellence of this office. I strongly believe, dear colleagues, that it is the European region which will have to remain the beacon of evidence-based medicine, including on immunization and including on fighting the fake news and restoring trust in science. That's why I decided, together with Dr. Sylvie Briand, the chief scientist of WHO headquarters, to launch a scientific advisory board in Q1 of 2026. And I would like to thank the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health of Belgium, Professor Dirk Ramakers. Thank you so much, Dirk, for your strong support in helping me to conceptualize and operationalize this scientific board. Thank you all. The second enabling division is business operations, led by David Allen, very ably led by David in Istanbul, leading on operational excellence and artificial intelligence. And tomorrow evening, please join us for a demonstration of what we are doing on the AI. In the middle, the core, the country support and the country offices, 33. With my directors at the head of offices, I review them one by one, listening again to the ministers of health. And there is it where we have to make this paradigm shift from reactive to anticipatory and drastically increasing the health diplomatic and listening skills of our staff. The European Observatory, Dr. Ewout van Henneken, doing great job. WHO office in Brussels, led by Oksana Domenti. Remember, this office, very important office, is not only having a regional role, but also on behalf of Geneva, the global liaison role to the European Union, and also hosting our famous health diplomacy courses. And then the regional director office, you can hold me accountable that ultimately the vision in the GPW 14 and the EPW 2 gets implemented always based on the principle of equity. And I will do so with tenacity, but also agility. Because the biggest danger I see for WHO globally is what we call in modern management the agility gap. It means that the pace of change in the external business environment is much faster than the pace of change inside the organization. And I commit to you that for the next 4.5 years as your regional director, I will watch this agility gap very, very closely. And I'm very proud that you see in the yellow box there I established the special initiative of the regional director on combating violence against women and girls, which also as a father of 2 daughters bothers me a lot. Please join me in the call for action I will launch in the afternoon. I would like to thank very much Minister Monica Garcia from Spain for hosting a very important meeting. I really would appreciate all 53 countries to be present. 21 November in Madrid, Minister Monica Garcia is hosting the first meeting on the special initiative where we are going to launch the first ever flagship report with country-specific prevalence data on violence against women and girls with very concrete policy recommendations so that the European health systems will no longer meet the survivors with indifference, but with empathy. Muchas gracias. Dear colleagues, I would like to reassure you that Hans Kluge is never restructuring in isolation. Several of you may know that my peers volunteered me into the global working group on restructuring under Dr. Mike Ryan's leadership that time. Last week, when Dr. Tedros called me with Raúl Tomás about the fact that the Global Reassignment Committee is a bit stuck, I immediately volunteered to send one of my best people as the chair to get on track again. And we are in constant touch with our counterparts in headquarters to move as a one WHO. And I reassure Dr. Tedros that in my capacity as the dean now of the region directors, he can rely on me day and night to help my peers. And you heard the region director of Afro this morning in a very inspiring statement. This relation is so important to establish a transformational post-COVID partnership between the global north and the global south now. Let's go to the second track. Ladies and gentlemen, in November last year, I was so proud to stand exactly where I stand now to host the annual retreat of the 25 regional directors of all UN agencies active in Europe and Central Asia, and we co-created the EPW2. Then I created a spin-off of 5 UN agencies plus Senior Director of Gavi and Global Fund to operationalize concrete alignments. We are ready to serve as the laboratory of the future of global health in Europe and Central Asia. And maybe let's listen to what some of my colleagues themselves have to tell about this alignment.
The quadripartite has been implementing a large project in Central Asia that aims to improve the One Health approach. We must continue looking for similar opportunities to make the One Health a daily habit. And the key word is together.
A recent highlight of our collaboration is European One Health Coordination Mechanism, a model we created that turns one vision into joint action. Looking ahead, let us link human, animal, and environmental surveillance into a single, practical, One Health dashboard to detect risks earlier and to respond together more quickly, more effectively.
A prime example of our successful collaboration is how we provided policy support to member states to integrate sexual and reproductive health and rights into universal coverage across Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Our partnership extends to other crucial areas, including cervical cancer prevention, maternal health, and healthy aging. Our shared goal is very clear: to accelerate health and well-being in the European region.
Together, we integrate normative gender and health standards into multi-sectoral response frameworks. Together, we build evidence and strengthen national capacities for the collection, analysis, and use of comparable violence against women prevalence data to inform progress and decision-making. Together, we have created tools for health workers, including the clinical handbook that helps them to support women who have experienced violence with care and compassion.
We live in unprecedented times. The challenges facing children and adolescents today are too complex for any single organization to solve alone. This is why the partnership between WHO Europe and UNICEF in Europe and Central Asia is key to ensure every child has access to the information and services they need to grow up healthy. Together, we can do more and go further than we ever could on our own.
I want to thank all my colleagues from the UN agencies and particularly those who are present with us today. I feel very, very fortunate. Thank you. And the final track, the third track under restructuring and alignment is the alignment with the partners outside of the UN. And here, first and foremost, I would like to express appreciation to Dr. Pamela Rendi-Wagner, and thank you, Pamela, for joining us, who came with her full senior team for 2 days to sit in the room here with my full senior team to work out, not theoretically, but very concrete, a joint plan of action. And one of the outcomes is to have, for example, joint annual reports on AMR, taking turns in leadership, integrating data from 3 platforms, WHO Glass, EARSnet, and CSAR. Thank you very much, Pamela. And maybe again, let's listen to some of the partners outside of the UN on the alignment.
In a context of disruptions and tight budgets, OECD and WHO Europe recently renewed their commitment to collaborate. We will continue to ease countries' burden through joint health data collections. And we are keen to work together to our respective strengths to help countries improve health labor markets, so as to drive better patients and health workers' outcomes.
Dear Hans, thanks to your leadership, we have now momentum for action. This year, 2025, has been a year of firsts. Member states agreed at the World Health Assembly to the first ever resolution on integrated lung health, covering diseases from lung cancer to tuberculosis. Together, we launched the first ever WHO ERS regional report on chronic respiratory diseases in June in Dublin. And lastly, at this year's UN General Assembly, we ended up with a dedicated section on respiratory diseases in the UN Political Declaration. We will now redouble our efforts and reinforce you in all actions to implement all those three very important but very exciting milestones. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Francesca. And please thank also Mark Pearson, who also especially came with you here to the team, and Joanna. In quarter number 1, 2026, I'm convening the meeting with the 10 presidents of the 10 largest European medical associations and patient associations to work out similar alignments. They represent 100,000 of clinicians. So they will take care of the clinical NCD management with WHO guidelines, and then we can focus on the core mandate, which is about risk factors and prevention. This is the WHO restructured. Leaner, sharper, aligned. And this WHO restructuring ensures that we're becoming stronger, healthier and trusted. Evidence-based, politically neutral, with 20% less of the resources, leaving no one behind. Dear colleagues, in conclusion, I'd like to summarize how we are reimagining and reshaping the WHO of the future. Number 1, back to the core mandate, meaning delivering what you ask of us. Number 2, efficient and accountable, meaning value for money, innovation, artificial intelligence. 3, restructured and aligned, meaning leaner, sharper, fit for tomorrow. Remember, it's not about blunt cutting. It's about the new business model. At the same time, we remain a workplace of choice. 59% of our staff are women. No any major WHO office in the world has so many nationalities as we have. 90. We are respectful and inclusive, empowering staff to thrive, lead, and innovate. The road ahead will be hard. It will require difficult decisions, openness for change, and genuine partnership. But with your support, the WHO Europe will deliver in times of peace and in times of crisis, within a financially sustainable structure, safeguarding the core functions. There is an African proverb which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. By now you know that we are working always dual track, meaning we always go together, moving fast to save lives and going far to leave no one behind. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Dankeschön. Spasiba van Bolshoye.